6 years ago, my dreams of becoming the next NBA superstar died. I was no longer the 5'11", 12-year-old that towered over the majority of kids my age. I was now an average height, skin and bone 7th grader who had little interest in being broken in half by a contact sport like basketball. Being the tallest kid through the majority of my lower and middle school days had its advantages. I could dunk a basketball with ease on the playground's 8-foot hoop while all the other kids watched in awe. However, this sense of power on the playground was short-lived, and when I came back for school for my 7th grade year, I was suddenly average. People towered over me, and I found myself struggling to make fall and winter sports teams. Then spring came, and running entered into my life. Running seemed to suit my personality perfectly. I've always been a very competitive person in pretty much everything I do from a very young age. In kindergarten, I would push kids aside to get to the front of the class walking line. Of course, this behavior would get me sent straight to the back of the line by the teacher, and I would have to tactically move through the line to get back in front again. I live my life by the phrase, if you're not first, you're last, and track was no different. After a few weeks of training and staying under the radar, my competitive juices started flowing, and I set my sights on beating everyone, including the high schoolers. I launched a competitive attack on the track team during a 200-meter interval session. With seeming ease, I finished second in all 16 200s, behind only the team's senior all-star and captain. My coach was speechless. There I was, a kid running in basketball shorts, with only a few weeks of practice, beating his team of very talented junior and senior runners. I knew that everyone on the team was in much better shape than I was, but no one took into account my desire to win. With my recent success, I traded in my basketball shoes for a pair of running shoes in ridiculously short shorts. Success continued to come with hard work, and I continued to get better, but as an 8th grader, I still hadn't won a race. I had come close to crossing the line first several times, but it never sealed the deal. This lack of win was due to my arch nemesis, Axel Mostrag, from rival 14 Military Academy. The most hated and at the same time most respected runner on the track, Axel was simply a running machine that seemed unbeatable. He was the national champion of the 800-meter race and future University of Tennessee volunteer. Even though nearly everyone on my team hated him, I studied him and watched how he raced and how he would cripple runners with an explosive last lap. I wanted to be just like him in every aspect, including going to the same college, which I succeeded in doing. After an all-conference honor and school record, my middle school days were over, and so was my time in Richmond, Virginia, where I lived for the past 5 years. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I used everything I had learned during middle school to take my running to the next level. 3 state championships, 5 school records, a Foot Locker All-South team, and a near Nike All-American team sent a message that I wanted to win. But there were still people who asked the question, why? Why do you run? What can be fun about that? To me, running is so much more than going outside with your iPod and jogging a few miles. It's a true escape, a much-needed break between school and study hall. A social network made of millions of people connected by one simple thing, running. In the book Once a Runner by John L. Parker, the main character, Quentin Cassidy, is a collegiate standout and sub-4-minute miler. After being suspended from his college team for protesting school conduct codes, he drops out and moves to a cabin in the woods of Brevard, North Carolina, where he brutally trains for months. His goal is to race once again at the school that suspended him, only this time not as a member of the team. Cassidy's training regimen, which includes an inhuman 60 quarter-mile Reiki workout, turns him into a running machine. Quote, running to him was real. The way he did it, the realest thing he knew. It was all joy and low, hard as a diamond. It made him weary beyond comprehension, but it also made him free, end quote. On race day, Cassidy and his favorite opponent, John Walton, battled the whole way in a gut-wrenching, epic race. In the last lap, Cassidy crosses the finish line first, running 3:52 for the mile. The novel ends with an older Cassidy pulling an Olympic silver medal out of his bag and asking himself, what will I do with my life now? Like Cassidy, I have love and passion for the sport of running, and have experienced some success like he had. There is no better feeling in the world to me than crossing the finish line in first place after putting in thousands of miles of work. But there's also a dark side to running when you ask yourself, what do I do now? My what do I do now moment happened during my junior year when my running in my life collapsed on top of me. After an extremely slow start to my cross-country season, I was sidelined for 2 months with a partially torn Achilles tendon. A bright neon cast went on, and my confidence and attitude towards school and running went down the drain. Instead of seeing the positive things, all I could think about was the negative. My grades slipped, and I isolated myself from my friends and parents. I didn't want to go to school or even leave the house. I stopped going to school events and actually made myself sick, worrying about running, college, and anything else on my mind. I found myself searching for that passion the running had infused in my life for the past 4 years. I was now a shell of who I'd once been. Even getting my cast off and starting running again couldn't totally brighten my spirits. I hit absolute rock bottom during the annual Raleigh Relays track meet at NC State University. I was running the 2 mile, an event I rarely ran. My confidence level was questionable, and I made it a habit in the previous weeks of just trying to hold on to races when I got tired, as opposed to fighting to win. Both factors ended up leading to the worst running disaster of my career and one of the lowest points of my life. After going out in a perfect 4:40 first mile, I started to fade and mentally questioned my ability to win. I came in dead last in a race which a year earlier I would have been in contention to win. Instead of the revival to my season that I so desperately needed, I walked away embarrassed and defeated to the point where I questioned if my running success had come to an end. An already disappointing track season prematurely ended at the conference finals in the 800 meters with the same Achilles tendon injury that had started my downward spiral. I lay on the infield of the track, covered my eyes, and had to fight back tears as I wondered, what do I do now? In the months that followed, I had to sit and watch my legs shrink to the size of a twig once again, while every runner in the state seemingly passed me by. This was when Asheville school came into my life. A visit to meet Coach Ashley about training and rehab turned into me leaving campus, wondering if it was possible to spend my senior year there. Another campus visit to some classes followed, and my desire to spend my senior year here increased. The day I got accepted to Asheville school was a bright spot in an otherwise depressing year. Now knowing that I had a fresh start waiting for me, my senior year slowly started to break my spirits. Seeing that I was anxious to leave Charlotte, my parents decided we would spend the summer in Asheville, so I could clear my head and start my running with a new focus. After running for 3 years on the unsafe streets of Charlotte, the trails of Pisgah National Forest were the most welcoming sight for a runner. After one run in Pisgah, I felt the same inspiration that Quentin Cassidy from the book Once a Runner must have felt in these same mountains. The feeling of being the only person in the world running through the endless silent woods was something I had never experienced coming from such a large city. Day by day, I gained more confidence and started to break out of the shell I had been in for the past year. Going to run was now something I looked forward to, not something I questioned. It was clear that the Asheville effect was changing me back to the confident kid who loved running again. One important thing I've learned from my experience is that things are never quite as good as you think they are, but things are also never as bad either. There's always a bright side or fresh start waiting for you, even when it seems that all may be lost. It took me a while to see it, but even though it seemed like I almost lost something my junior year, I feel lucky that I had the opportunity to learn about perseverance firsthand. If you introduce quitting into your life just once, it will spread into everything you do. If you believe there is still a door to be opened, even if there is a small chance of success, it is worth opening. The ideal ending of my story would result in another state championship and a new personal best time. This part of my story hasn't been written yet, though. But overcoming my own self-doubts has been a huge victory in my life. Last year, Coach Ashley told me the acronym RAD, Remove All Doubt. This simple acronym has been the most important 3 letters in my life. Not only do I live by it every day, but I intend to live the rest of my life by it, to overcome my head full of doubt. Go in peace.